They were the internet's power couple, young, successful, and deeply in love. From glamorous vacations to heartfelt declarations of devotion, Jalil and Sha'Mya appeared to have it all. Their love story played out like a modern fairy tale, capturing the admiration of thousands who followed their every move. But behind the filters and staged perfection lay a secret so dangerous, so unforgivable, that it would turn their wedding night into a crime scene. How does a relationship filled with passion, trust, and public admiration unravel into a gruesome tragedy? How does a love that once seemed unshakable become the catalyst for an unspeakable act? This is not just a story of romance gone wrong. It is a cautionary tale of deception, fear, and the deadly consequences of secrets too big to contain. Before we uncover the chilling details of this shocking case, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more gripping stories of love, betrayal, and tragedy. Jalil Carrington was the definition of success, a self-made real estate mogul who built his empire from nothing. Born and raised in the heart of Atlanta, he had grown up watching his mother juggle multiple jobs just to keep food on the table. Determined to break the cycle of struggle, he taught himself the art of business, flipping his first property at just 20 years old. By 30, he owned multiple luxury developments, a fleet of high-end cars, and a social media empire that showcased his wealth and wisdom. Young men idolized him, hanging on to his every word as he preached about hard work, financial independence, and the sacrifices necessary to build an empire. He wasn't just rich, he was a movement. Sha'Mya Everett was his perfect counterpart. A rising social media sensation, she commanded attention with her beauty, her confidence, and her brutally honest takes on modern relationships. She had built her brand around unfiltered opinions, dismissing weak men, demanding loyalty, and championing the idea of a real relationship, where a man provided and a woman submitted. Her followers either adored her or despised her, but one thing was certain, no one ignored her. When Jalil and Sha'Mya's paths crossed, it was instant chemistry. Their connection was electric, a combustible mix of ambition, passion, and power. Their relationship played out in front of the world, public fights, extravagant apologies, grand declarations of love. One moment, they were arguing in viral live streams, their sharp words cutting deep. The next, they were flaunting luxury vacations, hand in hand, proving that love, at its core, was about surviving the chaos together. Their wedding was their masterpiece, the pinnacle of their love story. A multi-million-dollar affair, streamed live to thousands of adoring fans. Sha'Mya walked down the aisle in a designer gown that dripped in diamonds, Jalil waiting at the altar in a custom-made tux that screamed success. The venue. A breathtaking estate surrounded by towering white columns and chandeliers that bathed everything in gold, looked like something out of a fantasy. The guest list was a who's who of influencers, celebrities, and industry elites. To the world, they had it all: love, power, success. They were untouchable. But behind the perfect photos and carefully crafted captions, something dark simmered beneath the surface. A secret Jalil had kept buried, a truth so devastating that once revealed, it would turn their picture-perfect life into a waking nightmare. Jalil Carrington had spent years perfecting the art of reinvention. To the world, he was a disciplined, self-made mogul, a man who had clawed his way to the top and refused to look back. But beneath the tailored suits and million-dollar deals, there was something he had never truly escaped: his past. Tanisha Bryant wasn't just some woman from a fling. She was his history, his unfinished business. Before the money, before the fame, she had been there. When Jalil was still grinding, still hungry, still unsure if his dreams would ever materialize, Tanisha had been the woman in his corner. She had loved him when he had nothing. And despite everything he had built, he had never been able to fully let her go. Sha'Mya had always been suspicious. Her sharp tongue and relentless intuition had made it impossible for Jalil to ever fully relax. There were times she would call him out, accuse him of stepping out on her, demand to know who he had been texting so late at night. Jalil always had a response, always had an excuse, always managed to flip the conversation in his favor. His charm, his calculated words, his unwavering confidence, she never caught him. But he knew he was playing with fire. As the wedding approached, Jalil told himself he was done. He would cut Tanisha off. He would erase her number, ignore the texts, stop the late-night check-ins. Sha'Mya was his future, and there was no room for unfinished business. Except Tanisha wasn't willing to be erased. The messages came more frequently, each one laced with a growing sense of urgency. She wasn't just reaching out, she was demanding to be acknowledged. He could ignore a few texts, let a few calls go to voicemail, but Tanisha was past the point of subtlety. "We need to talk. You think you can just disappear? Does she know about us?" Then, the one message that made his stomach drop. "I have proof." Jalil had built his empire on control. He controlled the deals, the negotiations, the narratives. But this was spiraling beyond his reach. Tanisha wasn't just a forgotten chapter in his life. She was a ticking time bomb, and with every unread message, every call he declined, the countdown continued. He told himself it would be fine. He told himself that once the vows were exchanged, once the ring was on Sha'Mya's finger, once their life together was solidified in front of the world, Tanisha would become irrelevant. But deep down, he knew better. Secrets had a way of demanding to be exposed. And Jalil was running out of time. The night had been a spectacle of luxury and love, a celebration watched by thousands. Sha'Mya had basked in the glow of it all, the designer gown, the celebrity toasts, the flood of comments from adoring fans calling them the ultimate power couple. But beneath her champagne-fueled joy, a gnawing feeling lingered. Jalil had been distracted all night. He laughed at the right moments, held her close for the cameras, but something was off. And when she caught him slipping away from the dance floor, hunched over his phone, typing furiously, the feeling sharpened into certainty. Her heart pounded as she moved closer. He didn't see her coming. His fingers moved fast across the screen, eyes locked on the messages lighting up his display. It was only when she was right behind him that she saw it. Tanisha. His reaction was instant, snapping the phone away as if the act alone could erase what she'd just seen. But it was too late. The name, the way his entire body tensed, Sha'Mya wasn't stupid. "Who the hell are you texting, Jalil?" He was smooth, she'd give him that. He slipped the phone into his pocket, forcing a smile, pretending like she was crazy. "Damn, ma, we just got married. Why you trippin'? Wrong move." Sha'Mya's blood was already boiling, and the liquor in her system made her fearless. She didn't hesitate. Her hand shot into his pocket before he could stop her, nails digging into fabric until she had the phone in her grip. He grabbed her wrist, but she yanked away, pressing the screen awake. Her world stopped. "I miss you already. Can't believe you really went through with it." A picture, her in his bed. Days ago. Bank transfers. Thousands wired to Tanisha, labeled as gifts. A voice note. Sha'Mya's breath came fast as she tapped to play it. "So after all that talk, you really marrying her? You really gonna act like I ain't been here this whole time?" Sha'Mya's hands trembled. Her chest tightened. The crowd around them blurred into nothing. Jalil reached for the phone, but she backed away. "Sha'Mya, listen." A sharp, bitter laugh erupted from her throat. "Oh, I'm listening, Jalil." She turned the screen to him, her voice shaking. "You lied to me. In front of the whole world. You stood there, put a damn ring on my finger, and you knew this shit was in your phone." He exhaled, running a hand over his face. "It's not like that. Not like that." She shoved him. "Then what the hell is it like?" The honeymoon suite was supposed to be their sanctuary, a place where they would toast to forever. Instead, Sha'Mya stormed in first, her veil half-torn, her fists clenched. Jalil followed, pleading, trying to contain the damage. "Sha'Mya, I swear I was gonna end it. Her laugh was hollow, dripping with fury. End it? Before or after you let that bitch lay up in our bed? Before or after you sent her money like she your damn wife? Jaleel's temper flared. You really gonna act like you perfect? Like you don't got your own secrets? Don't you dare flip this on me. She shrieked, shoving him again. You made me look like a damn fool, Jaleel. In front of everybody. His jaw clenched, hands balling into fists at his sides. I ain't mean for this to happen. Well, it did. The tension crackled between them, thick enough to choke on. Sha'Mya's chest heaved, tears streaking down her flawless makeup. Jaleel stared at her, breathing hard, searching for a way to fix what was already too broken to repair. Then, in the charged silence, she whispered the words that made his blood run cold. I swear to God, Jaleel. I wish I never married you. Jaleel's breath came fast, his hands dragging down his face as he tried to steady himself. His temples throbbed, his body heavy with exhaustion. This was their wedding night. They were supposed to be tangled in silk sheets, lost in the bliss of their new life together, not screaming, not breaking things, not unraveling into madness. Sha'Mya, please, he tried again, voice softer now, desperate for an exit. Let's talk about this in the morning. You don't want to do this right now. But she was past reason. The betrayal burned through her veins, the weight of humiliation pressing on her chest. She saw the way he looked at her, not with love, not even with guilt, but with frustration, like she was the problem. Like she was the one ruining everything. The thought sent her over the edge. She grabbed the champagne bottle from the table and hurled it at him with everything she had. It missed, barely, but shattered against the wall, spraying shards across the suite. Jaleel flinched, ducking out of instinct, his patience snapping. What the fuck is wrong with you? Sha'Mya didn't answer. She lunged. Her fists connected with his chest, his shoulders, his jaw. Jaleel tried to grab her wrists, to hold her back, but she was relentless, swinging, screaming, clawing at him. The room blurred into chaos, furniture scraping, glasses tipping over, the sharp sting of nails against skin. Get the fuck off me, Sha'Mya. He shouted, finally gripping her arms, forcing her back. She struggled, breath ragged, eyes wild. And then, she saw it. The knife. A sleek, silver blade sitting on the minibar, just inches away. Her pulse slowed. Her rage sharpened. Before Jaleel could react, her fingers wrapped around the handle, and she swung. The first stab landed deep in his stomach. Jaleel's body jerked. His mouth parted, but no words came, just a sharp, wet gasp. His hands clutched at her, at the knife buried inside him, eyes wide with shock. Sha'Mya, what the fuck? But she wasn't done. She pulled the knife out and stabbed again. And again. The blade sliced through fabric, through skin, through the body of the man she had just vowed to love forever. The room filled with the sound of his gurgling breaths, the sickening squelch of steel meeting flesh. Blood sprayed warm across her hands, her dress, the pristine white sheets. Jaleel staggered, his legs giving out. He collapsed onto the floor, gasping, body twitching, life leaking out of him in thick crimson pools. Sha'Mya stood over him, panting, gripping the knife so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her wedding gown, so beautiful, so perfect just hours ago, was drenched in red. And yet, there was no panic. No regret. Only a slow, cold satisfaction. A knock at the door. Mr. and Mrs. Carrington. We have your complimentary champagne. She turned, still catching her breath. The door cracked open. A hotel staff member peeked inside. The scream that followed was deafening. Footsteps thundered down the hall. Security swarmed. Sirens wailed in the distance. Sha'Mya didn't move. Didn't run. Didn't fight when the officers burst in, guns drawn, hands grabbing her, forcing her arms behind her back. As they cuffed her, dragging her toward the door, she turned her head, casting one last look at Jalil's lifeless body sprawled across the floor. Then, with a smirk, she whispered, "Told you I was the realest bitch you'd ever meet." The news broke before dawn. By morning, every major outlet was running the same chilling headline: mogul slain on his wedding night, wife arrested in blood-stained gown. Jalil Carrington wasn't just a man. He was a brand. A vision. A self-made king who had clawed his way from nothing to the top of the real estate world. To the public, he was the blueprint of black excellence, an inspiration for young entrepreneurs. And now, he was the victim of a scandal so salacious, so brutal, that it threatened to overshadow everything he had built. Sha'Mya Everett wasn't just any wife. She was the wife, loud, opinionated, unapologetic. A rising social media star whose every word, every post, had sparked debates about relationships and loyalty. She had preached submission to a good man, loyalty to a provider. She had painted Jalil as that man. But now, she was the face of betrayal, of violence, of rage unleashed. And the world couldn't stop talking. Within hours, social media exploded. Twitter was flooded with theories, hashtags, and vicious debates. Hashtag justice for Jalil. Hashtag Sha'Mya did nothing wrong. Hashtag mogul murder. Instagram influencers dissected their past videos, looking for cracks in their picture-perfect love. Talk show hosts speculated on Sha'Mya's mental state. Podcasts invited psychologists to discuss the science behind crimes of passion. By midday, TMZ leaked footage of their last public fight, a heated argument at the reception. Sha'Mya's face twisted in anger as she snatched Jalil's phone, storming off while cameras flashed. The clip went viral. She already knew, one comment read. "You can tell by the way she was moving. That girl had murder in her heart. She's not crazy, she's hurt. Y'all expect women to just take anything," another argued. Then came the think pieces. The death of a black power couple, toxicity in social media relationships. When infidelity turns fatal, the thin line between love and violence. Did Sha'Mya Everett snap, or was this always who she was? Every detail of their relationship was picked apart. Their fiery chemistry, their public fights, the way Sha'Mya had once joked in a live stream, "Let a man play in my face like that? I'll catch a case." No one was neutral. As the world debated, authorities dug into the truth. And what they uncovered made the case even more explosive. Jalil hadn't just cheated, he had funded another woman. Tanisha wasn't just a fling, she was an investment. Months of text messages and bank transfers revealed lavish gifts, secret rendezvous, hush money. On the surface, Jalil had been the devoted fiancé, but behind the scenes, he had been wiring thousands to Tanisha, paying for her apartment, covering her bills, flying her out to private getaways. The texts were damning. "Tanisha, you really marrying her?" "Jalil, it's business, baby. You know I got you." "Tanisha, I can't keep playing second to that bitch." "Jalil, just hold tight. Let me handle this." And just days before the wedding, one final meeting. Hotel footage confirmed it. Jalil had met with Tanisha 48 hours before he said, "I do." He had kissed her. Spent the night. It was the ultimate betrayal. But did it justify murder? The question tore the internet apart. Some saw Sha'Mya as a woman pushed to the edge. She gave him everything, and he made a fool of her. She didn't kill a husband, she killed a fraud. She was supposed to smile through the pain. Be humiliated in front of the world. Nah. Others saw her as a cold-blooded killer. Cheating doesn't equal a death sentence. She planned this. That's why she didn't even try to run. If a man killed his wife over cheating, y'all wouldn't be making excuses. The case became more than just a murder, it was a cultural war. A battle of perspectives. A reckoning. Was this a crime of passion? A split-second loss of control? Or had Sha'Mya always been the woman who could go from love to lethal in a single heartbeat? The world demanded answers. And soon, the courtroom would decide. The courtroom was packed. Every seat taken. Every eye locked on her. Sha'Mya Everett, once a rising social media star, now stood at the center of one of the most sensational trials in recent history. The air inside was thick with tension, the weight of it pressing down on every journalist, every spectator, every family member who had come to see justice served. She walked in, wrists shackled, head high. Unbothered. Dressed in an off-white suit, her edges laid, she looked less like a woman on trial for murder and more like she was starring in a documentary about it. The prosecution wasted no time. This was not self-defense. The lead attorney, an older man with silver hair and sharp eyes, paced before the jury. This was not an accident. This was not a mistake. His voice rose with every word. This was calculated. This was cold. And this was final. They played the crime scene footage. The hotel suite, drenched in blood. The knife. The body. The hotel staff's horrified screams in the background. Then came the autopsy details, 7 stab wounds, 1 fatal to the heart. 7. Not once. Not twice. 7 times. It wasn't a single moment of passion. It was rage that had taken its time. The jury shifted uncomfortably. Then came the witnesses. Jaleel's best friend took the stand, voice shaking, still grieving. He was trying to do right by her, he said. He loved her, man. Yeah, he messed up. But he ain't deserved to die for it. Sha'Mya's former hairstylist testified next, describing a woman who had always been quick-tempered, quick to anger. She used to joke about catching a case over a man. We never thought she was serious. The prosecution built their case brick by brick, painting Sha'Mya as an unstable woman, a ticking time bomb who finally exploded. Then it was the defense's turn. They told a different story. One of betrayal, humiliation, heartbreak. A woman scorned, pushed beyond her limit by a man who had disrespected her in the worst way. Imagine, her lawyer said, standing in front of the world, thinking you've built something real, only to find out it was all a lie. They read Jaleel's text messages aloud. The ones to Tanisha. The ones where he laughed about Sha'Mya's suspicions. They played the voicemail Tanisha had sent, just hours before the wedding. You really think he loves you? He was with me 2 nights ago, sis. He only married you for your image. The courtroom gasped. Sha'Mya's mother sobbed in the front row. Her defense pushed harder. She didn't walk into that room planning to kill him. But when she saw the truth, when she felt the way, LTY of second-degree murder. The courtroom erupted. Jaleel's family wept, justice, but not enough. Sha'Mya's supporters shouted in outrage. And she? She smirked. The judge's voice was steady, merciless. Sha'Mya Everett, you are hereby sentenced to 40 years in state prison. The weight of it landed like a gavel to the chest. Sha'Mya didn't flinch. As she was escorted out, cameras flashed, reporters yelling questions. One voice broke through. Do you have any regrets? Sha'Mya turned, eyes cold, lips curling into a small, slow smile. Only that I ain't make him suffer longer. And just like that, she was gone. Love can be intoxicating, blinding even. It lifts people to euphoric heights, but when built on deception, it can come crashing down in the most tragic of ways. Jaleel and Sha'Mya's story is not just about infidelity, it's about the irreversible destruction that follows when trust is shattered beyond repair. Their love story should have ended with forever, yet it concluded with blood, betrayal, and a prison sentence. In the end, was this an inevitable tragedy, or could things have played out differently? If Jaleel had told the truth before walking down the aisle, would he still be alive? If Sha'Mya had walked away instead of letting her pain consume her, would she be free today? These are the questions that linger long after the trial has ended, the headlines have faded, and the world has moved on to its next scandal. What do you think? Was this an act of passion or pure cold-blooded rage? Do betrayals of the heart ever warrant acts of violence, or are we all accountable for the choices we make, no matter the hurt we feel? Let's talk about it. If this case pulled you in, be sure to like and subscribe for more gripping real-life stories that expose the darkest corners of love, lies, and murder.